Welcome everyone. Welcome to today's Lunch and Learn. We're joined by Fiona Duffy. She's going to talk about branding and how to define your identity and how to make it easier for people to buy from you. So I'm just going to hand it over to Fiona. Thanks for joining us today.
Hello everyone and welcome. Thanks for joining us. So I've a lot to get through. I'm just going to put this into full screen mode. And really, I just wanted to talk to you about defining your brand, defining your identity, and how you can do it easily in a kind of a workshop process. So before even if you talk to a branding consultant, that you have really established the outline of what your brand means and what it means to the consumers as well. So really what we're going to be doing today is talking about the what, why, and the how. So what is your brand? What is a brand? Why is it important? And how do you define it as well? So the big what, you'll see these big words as we go through. Interbrand is a very well-respected large branding agency in London, and they have done a lot of work in trying to define a brand as simply as possible. So this is what they've come up with. A brand is the sum of all expressions by which an entity, be it a person, organization, company, business, unit, city, nation, etc., intends to be recognized. So that is very much from the brand's point of view. And then we have Martin Neumeyer, and he talks about a brand really from the consumer's point of view. And he said a brand is a person's gut feeling about a product, service, or organization. So you'll see as we go through, we talk about the rational and emotional benefits of a brand. And really, he's talking about how we relate as consumers to a brand. I think we all have favorite brands. We all have reasons for buying certain products. And it's important to think about that when you're kind of outlining and defining your own brand. Sorry, I was sticking there for a bit. So a brand is simply how a business is perceived in the mind of someone who has experienced it in some way. So these experiences are known as brand touch points. There's a huge area in investigating customer experience and the customer journey. And really what we mean when we talk about the customer journey is where we experience a brand and what those touch points are. So they could be an online review, maybe word of mouth. A friend of yours recommends a brand, maybe a magazine article, piece of packaging, social media, customer experience. So walking into a hotel, how you're greeted, that's part of the brand. How someone talks to you, everything really to do with the brand and your experience are the touch points. So when you talk about branding, it's the process of controlling how your business is seen and understood. It's all about defining how you would like your customers to think and feel about your brand. So these are the 5 key concepts. So this is where we got to, which is actually useful because you do need to see these. So your brand purpose, why does your brand exist? The vision, so what would the world look like if you succeeded in your purpose? What is your vision for your brand? Your mission, how are you going to achieve this vision? And the values, what do you stand for? Hugely important in today's marketplace, and positioning then, how are you different from your competition? So we'll investigate, you'll be looking in the exercise at competition and people in the same area as you and what they're doing and what you're doing and how you're doing it differently. So the why is very, very important. And just to think about why your brand exists. So the rational, the head versus the heart. Sometimes we start a brand because we've got a passion for something, or you have a very rational reason for it and it's purely money making. And as you'll see, I think we always need to have emotional benefits alongside the rational benefits as well. So put simply, your brand purpose is the reason for the brand to exist beyond making money. It gives you authority and meaning and separates you from your competitors. So Gen Z especially want brands to embody an inspiring ethos, bring a strong point of view and take action to make a positive impact on the world. And what I have here on the bottom is, or on the side, is just a screenshot from B Corp's website. So B Corp, businesses are becoming certified as B Corp. And what that means is that they have proven that their business is a force for good and that they are completely authentic in everything that they do. Everything that they say they do is real. And it just means that people will buy in. I was at a talk with Jonathan Kirk last week. It was an IDI talk, and he brings out a report every year about what clients want, what clients think. And one of the findings there was that over, I think it was 96% of clients would buy into a company that was B Corp certified. So they really strongly want to know that the company's values are true and are aligned with how they actually behave. So Simon Sinek always talks about the why. He says people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. So the goal is not to do business with everyone that needs what you have. The goal is to do business with people who believe what you believe. You know, the old saying is that people buy from people. I think you do, if you think about your brand as a personality, it is essentially a person that people rely or relate to. Then it's important that, you know, people like your brands, like what you do, like how you behave. And this is Dove's brand purpose, to encourage women to have a positive relationship with beauty. So we've all seen the ads, we've all seen the language that they use, the images that they use. So they are bringing this brand purpose to life all the time. And Nike's brand purpose is to bring innovation and inspiration to every athlete in the world. So if you have a body, then you're an athlete. So it's inclusive. It's about everyone. If you delve into Nike, especially as well, they have very aspirational and very active, and I don't mean active as in sports active, but just brand values that are all about getting people involved and really being the best you can be. So this is that whole ethos that we understand. But one thing is 80% of consumers believe brands perform better over time if their purpose goes beyond profits. So it really is more about making money, and it's about the reason to believe. So how do we define our brand, and how do we pull out these brand values and the positioning statement for yourselves, for your own brand? I think we all sort of know what we stand for, but it's funny, isn't it? You kind of assume you know, or you think everyone in your team is on the same page. But when you ask people individually, they may have very different ideas about what your brand is about, or what the values are, or the purpose. So this is a good exercise to do. There's a series of exercises to get the conversation started, to brainstorm. And I kind of see it as something that everyone can do for themselves as a group as well. And then you can maybe get involved with branding companies, or you can go a long way to developing yourself anyway and understanding your position. So understanding who you are, your point of difference, and your competitors. So there's just a few worksheets asking you questions to work on, and then looking at your brand diamond. So we use this workshop to dimensionalize your brand. And what I mean really is to, like a person, to create a fully whole brand, as opposed to just maybe the surface of it. And then we're going to look at brand archetypes. So they are based on Jung's definition of brand archetypes. And they're like personalities. They are ways of being. And I think when you are defining your brand, it's good to align it with maybe two of the brand archetypes. I've got brand positioning sort of slightly down because it's the next step. I've got an example of it to run through as well. Hopefully I think we'll have plenty of time, and it'll show you how you use these exercises to start creating your brand values and the positioning document, which will lead into then the identity and the way you speak, which is hugely important. So basically, it's all about you. It's all about your business, what your brand is going to be. So we've called it Pixel. So put in whoever you are, and I've given Janara this PDF, so you can all get access to it and start filling this in if it's something you want to do. But basically, think about, if your brand was a human being, how would you describe its personalities and values? You know, what would you talk about if you were talking about your brand as a person, as a friend? What makes your brand unique, and what are the business and emotional reasons for engaging Pixel? For example, at the moment, I'm doing a project with my students, and it's in relation to giffgaff, who are based in the UK, so they're not here. But giffgaff's main selling point is that they're cheap and it's a good service, but they are also becoming certified as a B Corp. They've applied for it, and it takes about a year before you get the certification. So their target audience is going to be moved or swayed by the emotional benefits. They probably are going to be looking at the money first, but it will be underpinned by the fact that giffgaff are a B Corp, or aiming to be, and that they treat their work like, the number one thing in the research that we've done is that the way the employee rights, the way employees are looked after in the company is hugely important. So that's the business versus emotional in terms of the consumers there. And then maybe, where do you see Pixel, your business, in 1, 5, and 20 years? So how is it going to evolve? What are your aspirations for it? And then describe your business in 5 adjectives. It's just an exercise to really get you, examining what you're doing, who the business is, as opposed to maybe the day-to-day production of either widgets or coffee, or coming up with some content or a platform. So then, thinking about your competitors. I think we all move into spaces that are fairly crowded. So we need to think about where we are in relation to our competitors, or are they adjacent as opposed to direct competitors? So who are your competitors, if any? If you have something completely unique, you're a disruptor, you're the first to market, then you are in a great position, but you are going to have adjacent types of competitors, people who are operating in a similar space. So who are they and what are they doing? Because I think by looking at them, you can see what they're doing well, what you're doing better, and what you can learn from them, what you can learn negatively from them in terms of what you don't want to do. And then think about their strengths. And then what about your advantages over them as well? And then looking at your target markets and customer engagement. So who are your target markets? We look at personas. Personas are a great way of creating customers for yourself, saying, right, my target market is 25 to 28, for example, and you profile a 27-year-old and you think about what they want, what they do, how they live, and how they are going to engage with your product. So who are your target markets? And it may be very specific, or you may have several, and you may be very much corporate facing, but you also have sort of individual customers as well. So define those and describe your product offering in relation to them. Does that product change for different target markets? Do you have different packages depending on who you're talking to? And then think about that typical customer engagement, the customer journey, how they get to you, how they find you. It's not just about having a website, it's about where they actually come across you. So the awareness factor, awareness is the beginning of the customer journey. So where are they going to become aware of you? And then how do your customers measure success? Is it that their phone works? They don't have any worries about it. Is it that they love their coffee? They love wearing your clothes, or that you've made a huge difference to their life? And it could be that you're a hospital or something like that. So it's all very unique to whatever your product is, but just understanding the benefits and how they're going to interact with you will change how you talk to them and where your messages land and you say in each place. So putting this together in a brand diamond. So just to kind of explain a bit more, the brand diamond is used to dimensionalize brands, one of those great words. It's a holistic approach that incorporates both your brand benefits, what the brand offers, and the brand identity, so who you are. It's based on the concept of a character diamond that screenwriters use. So years ago, I worked with a copywriter called Zenta Rich, who's an amazing copywriter, who I think is mostly screenwriting now. She always wanted to be a screenwriter, and she had worked with, had gone and done several courses in the States. So we would always approach branding workshops with this brand diamond, and I've sort of carried it on. So it's basically looking at the values that shape the way a character thinks, acts, and sees the world. And as they say with the character diamond process, if you only have 3 facets, it's a very wooden character. It isn't fully rounded. So ideally you have 5 to 6 sort of facets to your diamond. So we work with 5. And this is the template that we use. So going from the questionnaire, all of those worksheets, what I would tend to do is give those questions to a client, to anyone setting up their own brand, and ask them to fill it out. And then I would go and fill this out for them, just to kind of get my understanding of what they've been saying. You can do it for yourself as well. I have done it for myself as well. So it's very straightforward to do, and for your own business too. But it's something that you use as a brainstorming tool, and then have brainstorming sessions and refine and change it. So I'll show you. So it's aims and aspirations for the business, for the brand, your experience, the consumer's reason to believe in what you do, your value to the client. So whether that's the rational or emotional benefits, and obviously depending what you do, they will be more skewed in one way, or maybe it's 50-50. And then look at the personality and founder attributes. If you're a small business, big business, Ben and Jerry, their founder attributes percolate through their brand values. They're part of the B Corp setup as well. So they're really sort of doing what they say they believe in. So bring yourselves to that as well. You know, what is it about you that's relevant to the brand? Why did you set it up? What energy do you bring to it? And what are the unique attributes of your brand, your point of difference as well? So these are examples of how we look at it. So this is a tech startup. The founder filled out all the questions, and she is one of those people who will go into huge detail and is really passionate about what she does. And there's a great team there now. So we took what that they had put together and filled it all out, and then had a session where we added and subtracted and talked about whether that was really maybe a unique attribute, maybe it was more about a value. So you just move things around and say, until you're happy with, with where you are and how it's looking as well. The thing with these sessions, and I've done it for my own business, is that if one of you goes away and comes back with this, you have these great conversations that may, you may end up, someone will say one thing and that becomes your tagline, or it becomes your mission statement. So really interesting pieces will come out of this, and it's something that you can go back to and change. So for example, if you talk about personality and founder attributes in this particular startup, talking about being brave. It's brave to start up a company. It's brave to start something up that it's going to take a couple of years to really get off the ground. Willing to break down barriers, disruptive, using disruptive in a positive sense in terms of bringing new to market, bringing new ideas to the market. So pioneering, proactive, positive, solution focused. So able to identify problems and come up with solutions. So be quite personal in this as well. It is all about you and the brand that you're creating. This one was an architect who was joining forces with a builder, and they were creating this completely new product. They were probably actually ahead of their time. I think this would be something that would be very useful now, but they were looking at their aims and aspirations. They are passion to create outstanding design, to be the best, highest quality, be award-winning, try to push the limits and be explorative. So look at how you feel, and looking at the value to clients, again, doesn't have to be masses of lists. You can be quite concise with it as well. And this is something that we did for our studio. So we're rebranding, repositioning at the moment, and just that thing of going, right, you know, and we have kind of little words in there that make us laugh and make sense to us. And they may not be client facing, but they're just elements of our personalities that we bring in to that section, and they kind of make sense to us. And I did this myself, and Tig, my business partner, kind of looked at the questionnaires, and we did that phase, but I went away and did the brand diamond and came back, and we had a workshop together to flesh it out. So it's something that you can very much do individually and then come together and define and refine as well. So brand archetype. So once you've done that, once you've got your brand diamond and you've looked at yourself in a kind of brand therapy kind of way, maybe consider some brand archetypes to align with where you're going as a brand. These are useful tools for businesses when you're trying to articulate or differentiate your brand's personality, and they've been a very potent weapon for many of the world's leading brands. So the first step is to understand the character of each of the 12 main archetypes, and then identify which archetype best suits your brand. Now, generally, you will have two. So 2 to 3 is about right. And you may say that one of them is 70% and maybe you're 30% another one, or you're 15-15 to others. And this will evolve over time. It's not sort of set in stone, because obviously if you're a startup, you're going to be kind of quite different from an established brand, and your brand will evolve and have changed, and you may be a market leader as opposed to a disruptor. So you're going to be behaving slightly differently. But this is the kind of the archetype wheel. And we look at 4 types of archetypes. So this is one of those great tongue twisters. And maybe you've got sort of there's 4 quadrants here. So you could be in the stability sector. So you're helping your consumer to feel safe. Maybe in the independence, you're helping people to find happiness, to explore. Maybe mastery, so helping me to achieve. So you're the expert, you're knowledge-based. Or maybe belonging, so helping the consumer to find love, literally maybe, or have love, or have a community. And that could be entertainer or the everyman. So thinking about the type of brand that you are, the type of business, where you think you're going to sit in that, they're not as literal as they may appear here. So when you get into them, say the magician, for example, as a brand archetype, magicians make dreams come true, and hey presto, problems make problems disappear. So they do things both big and small that amaze and transform. So they're intelligent and knowledgeable. Magicians have access to secret information, the dissemination of which adds value to customers and positions the brand as a problem-solving or wish-fulfilling transformer. So their gift is to turn problems into solutions and make dreams come true. So these are, say, 3 examples of this type of archetype: Dyson, TUI, and Disney. So you can see that, say, Dyson, for example, would be all about turning a problem into a solution, and TUI and Disney, on the other hand, are much more about escapism, about making your dreams come true and bringing happiness as well. So if you look at Dyson and all the years of development and seeing a real problem in the household, that one main problem, that one problem statement that came to define his brand and his very first product, and obviously then turned into a hugely successful empire. Or you have Disney, who are all about creating joy and escapism and storytelling, and then obviously bringing that into real life in the Disney world as well. So we can go through, you've got creator. I'm not literally going to read them all out to you, because that will will take a long time, but also I can leave these with you. There are lots of variations of the definitions, but this is one that I think works. For example, the GoPro, Adobe, and Apple would be seen as creators. So they're inspiring creativity, creating an authentic brand story, and fusing technology and artistry as well. If you look at GoPro, for example, their advertising is all emotion-based. you know what the product is. They're not really selling it. They're selling the dream. They're selling the experience, and they're selling the adventure. So it's about that. It's about inspiring and having that authentic story about the experience of using the product, not the product itself. So we have the ruler, which would be American Express, Rolls-Royce, Microsoft. So, and then Haagen-Dazs, the lovers. You've got dog food, ice cream, and lingerie, all in the lover category. So you can see that you know, it isn't as literal as you would seem. You will fit into different archetypes in different proportions as well. So caregiver, NSPCC, for example, the jester, Cadbury's, Budweiser, and the Sage. TED Talks. I think TED Talks are our go-to. I know I look at TED Talks a lot for information, for interest. I love to see what people are thinking, how different organizations are breaking boundaries or exploring things as interesting, actually, at IBM and data, and how they're changing, how they deal with, or they interact with their workforce, and how they believe the way they're doing that could be a force for good, say, in social media. So there's the Sage, Explorer, NASA, Patagonia. So you've got as simple as the Body Shop, which is a product, to NASA, completely different kind of body. Rebels, Greenpeace obviously started as rebels. They would be much more part of the fabric of society now, but initially they were hugely rebellious. And then hero, everyman, and then the innocent as well. So they're your 12, and they're kind of definitions of those. But how do you see your brand and yourself? So take a bit of time to go through those and think, well, are you all-conquering? The all-conquering and inspiring hero? Are you a childlike innocent, or a trailblazing explorer? Where are you in your journey with your brands at the moment? Or if you're doing it for someone else, where are they? So all of those worksheets, that brand diamond, are helping you to sort of see where you could be. So perhaps you're a mix of 2 or 3 types, and don't see yourself neatly fitting into one archetype. And I think I would recommend that. I don't think any brand is just one. But as you transition from being a market disrupting rebel to a well-established ruler, these may change. So it isn't static as a model. So you can use it as part of your brand strategy to position yourself at the current moment and to help map out where you want to be in the future. Another useful exercise when you're looking at archetypes and really positioning yourself as a brand is maybe to look at people in the public realm. Maybe it's a politician, maybe it's a business leader, maybe it's a sports person, and kind of align them to the archetypes that you're thinking of, and see, does that make sense for your brand? So it could be, you know, it could be Jamie Oliver, or it could be, you know, Nelson Mandela, whoever. But basically, it's about kind of identifying and saying, this is the kind of person, the kind of brand we want to be. So it can be aspirational as well. You may not be there yet, but that's where you're hoping to get to. So really, when we've done all this, what do we do with it? You know, we use all this information to build your brand positioning platform. So this will kind of help us outline your brand pillars, your purpose, the reason for being, your brand personality, and the values that will inform how your brand will look, behave, and communicate. Because obviously, you've got to get to a point where you have a brand that people can see and interact with on whatever touch points that you need to get to them. Obviously, we have, you know, things like the marketing mix, and as I said, the touch points. What are the most important? If you're an app, it's basically all online, but you have kind of the customer journey parts of getting people to be aware of who you are and bringing them to the app, to getting them to download it. So thinking about that and thinking about how that behaves and talks. And as I said, tone of voice, how you speak and what you say to your customers is hugely important. I kind of believe that needs to be established before you look at you feel, you know, it's really the basis. So who are you?
Fiona, can I ask a question?
Yeah. Hi, Richard.
You were amazing. And I think what you've brought to life is massively rewarding for a lot of people. One of the things I would really like to share is something you're touching on. So, um, in part of my work with some brands, BT is the best. Their proposition to go to market is it's good to talk.
Yeah.
I dare anybody to go onto the BT website and find out somebody you can actually speak to.
Oh my God, yeah. I'm with you on that one.
So one of the things I created, and it is my method, is called the brand hand.
The brand hand.
Brand hand.
Yeah.
So if you think what you've been saying, which is amazing, so we're getting from a diamond into a proposition of value. So who are we? And I'm a complete advocate of Simon Sinek, but it's the why. So the why is in the center of your pan. But I think the big thing is emotion.
Yeah.
And one of the quotes I've been using a lot lately is we listen to our heads, but we follow our hearts.
Yes.
And brand is very much about our heart. And what I created was the brand hand. So the thumb is emotion, and the four fingers are design, image, language, and behavior. And I think what you've been saying, Fiona, is exactly right.
Yeah.
You can't have one without the other. You know,
No.
you can look good, but if you don't behave or talk in the right way, you're
It's
losing
redundant,
out.
isn't it?
It's
Yeah.
totally redundant.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And
I
it's
think
connection, emotional connection. We all emotionally connect with brands, but we're very easily put off. So what you've just said about BT, that they're not taking that through to every touch point, and it just
not
ruins.
following it through. Absolutely. You know, and I do a lot of work in B2B branding, and people say, oh, well, it's not like, you know, fashion, or it's not this, it's not that.
Yeah.
Rubbish. Everybody shops at Waitrose, or they shop at Marks and Spencer's, or so sorry, emotion still carries through even into B2B.
Yeah. Because we all have an opinion or a feeling about who we're dealing with, and what, you know,
Absolutely. So what you said really resonated with me. So
right.
amazing.
Thank you. That's good. Thank
Sorry.
you. No. Because it's you're absolutely right. It's I just kind of, especially when I'm talking about graphic design or what we do, everything we do is about connecting with who you're talking to, the person.
Everything. Every single thing
Yeah.
we do is a connection.
Yeah. So, you know, if you don't do that, then you've lost it. It's just superficial in its style, and there's no point. So that's my little, yeah, no, thank you for that. I really appreciate that. I'm going to look at your brand hand now as well. Thank you.
If you text me, I'll send it.
Okay, perfect. Will do. Thank you. So this is, I just in the who, so yeah, this is more of that exploration and sort of keeping it personal. With this tech startup, we're like saying, okay, well, so who are you? Because especially with tech startups, I do, you know, some mentoring and then DRC, the founder weekends. And sometimes people come to it and they've got this fantastic idea, but they haven't really thought about it beyond the technicalities. So it's just understanding how you're going to communicate that to whatever type of consumer you have. And you start with the brand pillars. So really, this is just the evidence of what really makes up the tech startup. It's a bit clunky, but tech startup brand promise, its intrinsic support, and the substance of what the brand essence is built upon. So when we looked at the question, you know, when we went through the worksheets and we went through the brand diamond and looked at what was most important, these are the most important things. It's about empowering our customers, empowering the people who, you know, maybe haven't been included in the workplace, about being effective in what they do, but disruptive as well. So being first to market, bringing a new approach, but being supportive as well. So being supportive maybe to the primary consumer, and as a kind of a halo effect, being supportive to maybe their employees as well. But the key thing with this is not to just say it. You've got to develop this out and sort of say, well, what is being effective? What is being disruptive? So for that, you know, you just keep writing. And I think when I was going through this, I think what comes out very strongly in this particular one is the founder's voice in it. This is us working with the founder, but it's equally, it's coming from their belief and their vision for their brand. So, you know, if you look at disruptive, we focus on innovation, constantly seeking just to disrupt the market landscape and lead the way. Our pioneering approach is in our DNA, helping people to have their needs met and maximizing business success are not mutually exclusive aspirations, and we never stand still. So there's a real movement and there's a real ambition there in what they're saying. But before addressing the positioning, it's important to define their brand purpose. And this is a simply expressed statement of your main purpose, your essential reason for being. So really it's the why. So just as Richard was saying, and Simon Sinek always says, why? Why do you exist? So it's one sentence. It's not a great big tome, but within this sentence, you've got a lot in there. So we enable businesses to achieve optimum inclusivity. So that's really the core. But they do that by creating full organizational solutions that benefit the bottom line and workplace well-being equally. So there's the head versus heart. There's a bottom line, there's a business reason for engaging with this startup, but equally there's an emotional reason that it will increase workplace well-being, which actually increases the bottom line. So they are supportive of each other. So when you're looking at the positioning rationale, you know, she's talking about inclusion being central to their business, the role of inclusion in business, educating the stakeholders, driving recognition of the business benefits, helping people to have their needs met. So there's sort of primary and secondary users in this, and then recognizing all areas of diversity and having an intersectional approach. But we do need to be aware in everything that we're doing, if there are issues or, you know, or is a term problematic for people. People can just be turned off by things. So, you know, you've got to turn that on its head. So, you know, inclusion maybe can be seen as costly. It can be seen as difficult to implement, or it can be seen as being slightly trend driven. So we need to focus on the active benefits of inclusion in the workplace, the energy, and create a call to action. So we started with Inclusion Works. And it was, you know, a slight play on words. And it was just, you know, that it works in the workplace. It's profitable. It's also beneficial to the business, but also to people. Now, this was built out. This isn't the final one. But what I would say with taglines, with these kind of statements, is five words max, really. This is a statement like Nike's Let's Do It, all of the ones that you can think of, for all the brands that we know and love. It's just something that you can imbue meaning into, because brands are there, like, we won't be talking about logo design today, but if you think about logos especially, they are symbols. They do not have to encapsulate the entire brand. They will become imbued with meaning by the user, the end user, by the customer. And it's similarly to a tagline. It is something that people will relate to and start to understand more about as the brand behaves and develops. So what are your brand values? So for them, we're bold, we're solution focused, we're positive, we cut through. So they streamline the process for the business. As we said, maybe inclusion is seen as difficult, hard to implement. So they're saying, well, that's okay. We're going to sort it out for you. We're going to streamline it. So they're their values. And then talking about personality, and again, going back to the founder, and also the way the brand will behave and will talk to you. So they're going to be smart. They're going to be driven. They're going to be open, transparent, inclusive. So their personality will reflect what they're trying to do as well. And they are brave. They are first to market. They are really pioneering and ambitious for what they believe in. So we talk about, and again, this is going back to the emotional benefits as well as the rational benefits. So we call it, soft emotional benefits. I think that's okay. Through implementing the learnings, we have a happy workforce. Inclusion is more about treating people the way they want to be treated, and we help to have people have their needs met. But by doing this, it's making business sense. You have measurable benefits. The approach is evidence-based, streamlined, time-saving, creating effective long-term solutions for inclusive business strategies. And it is a statistical fact that diverse teams drive increased revenue. There are lots and lots of reports and findings on that. So for them, when we looked at that and we had big discussions about this, we came up with two archetypes, and I think we kind of went round, we changed one out, but we started with the hero, so inspiring courage and achievement by overcoming adversity. So that makes sense, but also being the sage, so illuminating the world through knowledge sharing, earning respect through intellectualism. And that was the beginning of our kind of branding journey with them. But it's a lovely way to work with your own brand, or maybe to work with a client, because it becomes conversation, and it becomes something that you all agree with, you're all on the same page. And I've done this with teams in, say, AIB, in the corporate division. So very different from working with a tech startup or working with architects, but it makes sense to everyone. And it's just people talking about their brand, talking about what they do and what they truly believe in. And you get to a point where everyone is clear on what the brand is, and then hopefully what it's going to look like.
Fiona, can I be really rude and ask you something, or put something? Is that okay?
Yeah, go on. Yeah.
I think for me, technology without purpose is fruitless. And I think this is where we go a lot wrong with technology, is we can get obsessed with how amazing our technology is, but if it hasn't got purpose, what's the point?
No.
And I think the CEO of LinkedIn about 2 years ago made a quote saying, what COVID has done for us over the last 2-3 months, I think he quoted, we spent the last 5 to 10 years trying to do. And it was that adoption of technology and the understanding of how technology could benefit.
Yeah.
And when we look at brands within technology, it's all about what's the benefit, and really understanding. And you absolutely said it. It's the why.
Yeah.
Why are we here? Why do we exist? And what can we actually do to make people's lives better, or add to people's lives?
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're okay. No, I agree. I completely agree, because it's again, I have this split life in terms of I teach and I work in branding, but it's one of those things, especially with students, they all go, oh, I'm going to do an app. And I'm like, that's great. Why?
Yeah, but why?
Like, why is that useful? Why is that actually going to work? And what you find is that the more we evolve and develop the brand and the idea, it's actually way more about communication and way more about other touch points. And that's the last piece.
I clearly don't teach, but yeah, no, I'm in awe of anybody that does. So.
Yeah, it's fun. It actually is fun. I love it. But I like both sides of my work.
I'm not sure I have the patience for it, but anyway.
So I'll get it. So I'm aware of time. So really, when we get to this point, when we've done all that and we understand ourselves, you know, we're going to go and look at what you look like and then how you behave. So they're not necessarily linear like that. It's about how you talk, how you're going to behave with your clients, and how you actually visually communicate. But as I say there, that's probably for another day. That's a whole other area. But really, I'm gonna say, can't believe I got through all that. Thank you. And really, any questions from anyone?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Fiona. That was a great amount of information, very inspiring. Yeah, so if anyone has any question, please let us know. Just turn on your microphone or your camera. Or you can put it in the chat as well. If not, then you've been. Oh, Richard, I see like you're in a phone booth close to me, maybe.
Where are you?
You want to be in each other.
Is it possible to get some of those worksheets? Would they be shared to us, please?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I am. Janara has them, so
Yeah, I can share them with you, of course.
share them.
I'll send you a follow-up email with NPS form and also the slides.
You're very good. And thank you, Fiona. That was excellent. Really,
Thank
really
you.
got a lot from it. Thank you.
Yeah, it was great.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Fiona.
Yes.
My name is David. I'm acting as a mentor, and I am semi-retired, and I'm helping about 10 different companies, founders.
Yeah.
I don't think, I think it's
David, where have you?
it's not here anymore.
Oh, might have dropped.
You dropped, yeah.
Yeah.
Fiona,
And I do
just
like
while,
the point
oh, there we go.
of the heart over the brain. It really is the heart.
The joys of technology.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we got the important bit, the heart over the brain. Sorry,
Yeah.
Sorry, David, I can't.
Fiona, I was just going to say, I'll share with you, I'll try and get your details. I'm not sure how I do that, but I'm sure I can speak to
They're on,
somebody.
actually, if you get my email at the end of the presentation, so if Janara sends that out to you,
But
you
I'll
can.
send you the stuff I created on the brand
Oh, yeah.
account. Yeah,
Lovely.
just out of interest. You might
No,
find
no,
it
no, it's
interesting.
good. It's good. It's good to
You
see
might,
the
you might
things.
not, but I'll send you a link anyway.
Thanks, Richard.
Okay, so if
I was really interested to what this guy was going to say.
Sorry, Fiona, could I ask a question? It's Charlotte here. Hi.
Hey, Charlotte.
I was just wondering about the B Lab or the B Core that you mentioned at the beginning of the presentation,
Yeah.
standard that people are trying to attain to. Is there a link to that? I couldn't understand how it was
B,
spelled.
it's B,
Yeah.
literally, and then core, CORP.
Oh, Corp. Sorry, just
Yeah.
couldn't hear properly because again, technology.
So if you Google that, it's
B
very
Corp.
interesting. Actually, we're doing, Charlotte is one of my, oh, well, she's an ex-student now.
Less of the old.
The D&AD project that we're doing this year, that's one of the briefs for GiveGet.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's very interesting.
Brilliant. Lovely. I'll look it up because I hadn't heard of that as a kind
Yeah,
of.
no, I know. Big learning curve for us all as well.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. I think I'm gonna end the meeting in a few minutes. So thank you so much, Fiona, for joining. That was very interesting. And I'll follow up with everyone with an email and make sure to share the slides as well. And if you would like, any of you, if you would like to host a lunch and learn with us, then just reach out to me. I put my email in the chat box, but it's just my name and then @republicofwork.com. So Gennaro@republicofwork.com. So thank you so much, everyone, and thanks again. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Fiona, thank you so much. That was amazing.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Really enjoyed that.
Thank you. Good.